Sooner Nation, it is time. That is right. It's here, and it's good to be back to finally talking some football here on week one of the 2024 season on a Friday night, not to mention the first Friday night home game to boot. And not to mention the first SEC game played of this season as members of the SEC, with our conference game coming later in September against Tennessee, as well as, hey, it's Labor Day weekend. We can finally get past repeated preseason storylines and get to the actual content, as all eyes will be on OU on a nationally televised audience Friday night. OU opens the first of four straight home games against the world beaters AAC Temple Owls, who we have unfinished business with, as they have surprisingly have a series tied with OU. That's right, guys. I know. It totally shocked me too. Yep, the Owls last beat OU in Philadelphia, and hold your horses, 1942. Yep, we have only had one series with Temple, and it was all the way back at World War II. It was before even the 47 game win streak. I know, it's been a minute. Jokes aside, though, it's not a question of if OU will win this game, because OU is going to win this game. It's how comfortably they're going to win, because they're going to win, and what storylines are going to continue or arise essentially from fall camp at this point. On OU side of the ball, we are working with a lot of preseason storylines, including will the O-line hold up? Will OU develop a pass rush? Will any freshmen step up, including in the wide receivers? Are we SEC ready? We have the defense. What with both Stutzman and Bowman returning as first team All-American SEC or All-American first team SEC, and we have the offense led by Jackson Arnold. How is that going to develop across the season? Are we going to prove a lot of the haters wrong? To be seen. To be seen. On the other side of the ball, Temple is just trying to find a way to give above .500 for the first time since 2019. Jokes aside there as well, it's been a hot minute since they've had a winning record since the pandemic, since before the pandemic, actually. Their quarterback transferred to Rice, replaced by E.J. Warner from Rutgers, whose numbers are not all that great. Their All-American tackle, Victor Stoffel, I think I pronounced that right. If not, I apologize, transferred to Cal, and their most experienced defensive guys are gone, with no guys to watch for the preseason AAC all-first team. I think I read that they got a lot of their guys from the transfer portal to make up for gaps on both the offensive side and the defensive side. Don't know a number, but it was like double digits. Not a good way to start the 2024 season, however, against a blue blood, as we are the least of their problems at this point, as a coach is trying to survive and keep his job. With it being the first game of the season as well, there's not really a whole lot of numbers to work with. But I mean, I still have a few when you break down like some of the statistics from like last season, maybe even going to this season. From last season, OU currently sits at number 67 in returning production at 61.2%, with the offense coming in at 44%, 111 out of 134 FBS teams, and the defense coming in at number 79 or number 8. Meanwhile, Temple is number 90 with 54%, mostly on the defensive side at 62%, sitting at number 55, and the offensive at number 46 or 106. In S&P, they're ranked the number like 176 out of all college programs, like of all levels. They're not very good. Temple released their depth chart as well, and not only are they starting, I believe, 2 freshmen at tackle, and if I calculated it right, their defensive line like doesn't even break 250. I think it was somewhere around 240 or 250. They're light guys at this point. So as you can see, the juggernaut, the David versus Goliath battle is definitely there, and I'm going to favor Goliath in this. That all said, as we usually go through, keys to the game, guys, and to be honest, a lot of this is going to be repeating information, as it always seems like from year to year, we face kind of the certain we face certain squads in depth in addition to the standard. Let's get out of there with no injuries, get the flags out of you now, play clean, etc. I think for this game specifically, though, I think we can pull a couple, including reps. This is, in essence, a glorified practice squad scrimmage. This is the perfect opportunity to build confidence and get into that groove, especially with Jackson Arnold and the O-line. look the part. My rule of thumb is if you look shaky in the first game of the season, you're going to face some adversity in the regular season in some shape or form. Especially against Temple, you need to come out and look the part. Pass the eye test. It happened a couple years back with Utah State, for an example, and it happened with Tulane. Yes, those teams were a little bit better than what they appeared to be initially, but I digress. You have the talent, guys. Exploit the talent, even with their best unit at wide receiver. Just run the ball. You don't really need to do too much. Since it is the first game of the season, too, I'm not all that worried about you having to get up for the game. It's the first game. Everyone's going to be excited. Everyone's going to be happy that the start of the season is there. If this was like the third or fourth or even like Maine, I'd be a little more worried. Perfect time again to shake off the rust, both from the off season as well as from the guys who have been injured at this point. A bit different from above, but you can play really, really, really vanilla here. Use this time to break ties for starting positions. What guys are going to take that leap and step up, essentially. Not to mention, get out of our system again, penalties, mistakes, and just play very, very disciplined football. You should be able to really get into the groove against Temple. Um, Take the opportunity to rest up guys, like Nick Anderson. We got pretty banged up during the fall camp, especially at wide receiver at O-line. A little bit more than just, some bumps and bruises. They may need some rest prior going into the season at this point. So against Temple, why not rest them up a little bit? It's not like you're going to need them really until maybe Tulane at worst, that if they come with some type of pulse at this point. Otherwise, your first game you're really going to truly need them is Tennessee. Honestly, my biggest question going into the game will be, will the fans show up to warrant Friday night games at Owen Field in the future? Right now, we saw Houston, how Houston went a couple years ago on Sunday, and when you get the prime time exposure, we don't have Sundays anymore as a result at this point. So honestly, spoiler alert, it's probably not happening again on a Friday based on how long it took to sell out this game. But that's for another video at this point. Again, overall, you get the gist. This is definitely a mismatch of a matchup between OU and against Temple. My final prediction is OU is going to sleepwalk this victory, 63 Temple 9, and go up 1-0 on the season. I'd be surprised if OU wasn't up 50-0 by halftime at this point. Temple is a terrible football team, and I think if the fans showing up on Friday night will put up a tougher fight at this point than Temple does for that. I think it was even said that Temple maybe even try to be done by the first quarter or maybe as late as halftime, as they have to win a certain amount of games in the AAC, and it's not worth having their players get injured and basically don't even prep for this game when you have larger games than we do. I know that's a little weird to say that they have larger games than a Blue Blood, but you get my gist at this point. Either way, this is our traditional body bag game, tune-up game, whatever you want to call it. Bring the family to the kids to the game at this point, and yearly sacrifice to Owen Field. It's also, not to mention, one of at least 3 opportunities, like I said, to bring the families for. Tickets are not going to be that expensive. Probably why they've been pushing, again, the packages. I'm seeing anywhere from OU $35. I'm seeing on like SeatGeek 25 to 15. Like, this is the opportunity to bring a lot of people with you and pack the stadium. Just like in years past, again, we're going to keep the playbook simple and not learn a darn thing about this team. To be fair, that's going to apply to Temple as well. We're basically anything you see on the field, such as anything from the skill positions, like a lot of sacks or a lot of deep balls from Jackson Arnold, take it with a grain of salt. You have to look at the quality of opponent of what they are able to exploit versus the reality of the situation. I look for OU to cover the spread and take care of business again by halftime and look forward to the return trip in Philadelphia in 2025. Because let's face it, OU scheduled this game for recruiting purposes and to give Sooner fans a reason to go sightseeing, similar to what we've done a couple years back, such as Nashville. Should be reasonable weather too, guys. Supposedly it's going to rain prior and maybe some scatter storms during the game, and highs will be around 80 at kickoff. It's going to be some beautiful football weather otherwise. Polls have us at number 8 in the SEC this year, and preseason number 16, with our over and under on the wins being 7.5. Gentlemen, ladies, let's prove the haters wrong. The chase for 8 begins now. Boomer Sooner, Only one Oklahoma. Let's go beat the Owls.